On today's episode, we are going to be talking about affordability and whether or not it's still affordable in 2026 to buy in Central Oregon, and what does it actually cost to buy in Bend right now. Jamie, this is your expertise.
Yeah. So in Bend, the median house price as of the end of March was $688,000. For Redmond, just under $500,000, and in Sisters, just about $675,000. So is that affordable? Now, maybe not on someone's own salary, but if you're buying with other people or either have a lot down to put down for that, or you're buying a cheaper home or more on the outskirts of the Bend area, more towards Redmond, Prineville, Lapine, or Madras, and commuting. So for like they are building more affordable housing now.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it's very hard to qualify with a single person income household. Definitely dual is where it's
dual or more, or family inheritance if you're lucky.
Yeah, that would be nice. So with that cost, how much income do you really need to buy locally? So that's more my expertise. Yeah. And I ran the numbers with the median sales price of $688,000 for Bend, and with 5% down, you need about, give or take, $9,000 gross income. That's before taxes to qualify. And that's assuming that you don't have any debts. If you have credit cards or car loans, those will have an impact as well. But since we don't know those details, I just ran it as a straight scenario where no debts, and 5% down. That's about $9,000.
I could not afford that.
It's a lot. It's usually a 2-person income.
Yeah. 2 or more, or, having a good amount down if you're, savvy and taking out of other places where you've invested to get into the market. It's always great to diversify your profile. But again, like you said, it's always best to invest in yourself and paying, in what percentage of interest rates we're at now compared to 100% if you're renting.
Yep.
Yeah. What would you say that you're seeing a lot of people do currently buying right now?
Surprisingly, they do have a lot more down, and I'm seeing it come from gift funds. That can come from relatives, can come from an employer, probably some other places that I'm not remembering at the moment. But yeah, a lot of gift funds for the down payment, or using a seller credit to help buy down the interest rate is super common right now.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of people coming in with more down. There's still cash buyers coming in. But a lot of people with loans are, putting more down so that way it's not as much of a hit on their monthly payments. Or, getting more crafty with what they're purchasing. Say instead of a stick built, they're going to go manufactured and maybe have to fix it up, or a townhome, and just look to renting those out once they get into their next home. What have you kind of been seeing people do for what they're purchasing?
That I don't know, because I don't see what they do to the house closing.
Like what kind of homes are you seeing people get into more? That I know that there's like this Will Nest and Rooted right now that are doing where they own the land, but people are buying the house, and the HOA is kind of just, they're implementing that the taxes and everything for the land cost is associated in that. Are you seeing a lot more of that?
Definitely. And now that they've spread out to Prineville and Madras, I believe, we are seeing a lot more applicants for affordable housing. But even for that, it's still kind of hard to fit the criteria, because it's a really small window of qualifying per their guidelines. But other than that, I'm just seeing single family residences. Maybe manufactureds as well, but I haven't seen a lot of million plus homes go.
Yeah, that's kind of slowed down a bit from what I can see and what reports have shown. Days on market are getting substantially longer, kind of just regulating. And with the amount of inventory, it's been, that's kind of what's shifted us more towards a buyer's market. We've got probably about 3 months of worth of inventory in Bend. I think 2.5 months worth of inventory in Redmond. And then in Sisters, they actually have about 5 months of inventory. So things aren't moving quite as quickly. I haven't seen in Sisters, but Bend is still moving. People are still buying. It's just a lot of people are shifting what they're purchasing to.
Yeah, so that brings up the question, is now a good time to buy?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly would say anytime that you can get into the market is the right time, because the market's always going to fluctuate up and down, but it's ultimately you're investing in yourself no matter what when you get in. Going back to the interest rates and paying a little bit of your own interest rate versus 100% into somebody else's that you're not gaining equity in.
Yeah, you're paying somebody else's mortgage.
Yeah.
When you should just be paying your own.
Yeah. I guess that could kind of go into what we've done. I mean, how many have you bought and sold? Multiple or just one? Or?
Three.
Yes. There you go. Why don't you get into that a little?
Like how much I put down, or
I guess where you started and where you're at now.
So first house was new construction, Hayden Homes. Every time it's been the minimum down, if I'm being honest. I'm not afraid of mortgage insurance.
There you go.
It shouldn't be a deal breaker. And owning a home's always better than renting. I've got a really good story. An old colleague of mine, I won't mention names, but he bought his house in Southeast Bend right before the crash, so probably 2005-ish, and I think he paid $330,000 for the house, and it's a big house, very big lot. Then the crash happened, and the value went down to $80,000. And that's what people, I think, are fearing a lot right now, is that we are in a declining market, and so investors are more hesitant to buy, and even just first-time home buyers, because they're like, oh no, we're going to be upside down. So his value went from $330,000 to $80,000. And then now today it's got to be worth $1.3 million.
And did you hold on?
Yep.
Okay.
Sure did.
Yeah. If you can ride it out, it's worth it.
Yep. And then they just completed a remodel, because the house, if you've been in it that long, that it's an older home and needed some updating. So they just updated the kitchen. So it's probably worth even more. It's crazy.
Yes.
It's a long-term investment. It's not a short-term investment.
No. If you want short-term, maybe try with a banker in the stock market.
Stock market, Bitcoin.
Yeah. Bond if you want to be safe. Me, I had, same zero down minimum, came in just with my closing costs. And I think even the seller might have contributed some towards my closing costs when I got in. I actually got in when the market was right before it picked back up. I got in and bought my first house in Redmond in 2012 is when I closed. And so I got a 4-bedroom, 3-bath on a corner lot for $113,000.
That's crazy. Crazy.
Today it's rather like $600,000. But I sold and reinvested with my family. And then I just kind of kept rolling that and reinvesting with whoever I was with. I have bought and sold with other people. So yeah, currently equity in one home right now because of the way I invested.
That's for a whole different podcast, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a buyer's market, I'm glad that you mentioned that. The seller credit helping to cover closing costs. We're seeing that a lot right now.
Yeah.
because the houses are taking longer to sell. And so they're motivated to do what they can to get the home sold. And for those of you who don't know, because it might seem like a crazy idea, like, what do you mean that the seller can cover closing costs? So, like, as an example, if the home is being sold at $800,000 and they currently have a loan on it for $500,000, well, if you're the buyer and you're wanting your closing costs to be covered, you ask the seller for whatever that amount might be, somewhere between $7,000 and $13,000, and therefore you can either raise the sales price up to 800 and say 13,000 and hope that it appraises, because the appraised value has to come in at that 813,000.
What's the max ask that a buyer can ask for?
Good question. It depends on the loan program and how much money you put down. So FHA is 6% of the sales price, which that's a big number.
But if it goes over their closing costs, what are other options that they can do with that?
Buy down the interest rate.
Boom.
Boom. Yeah. So the seller credits are what we're seeing a lot right now. And if you're listening and you're a buyer, definitely it doesn't hurt to ask. All they can do is say no.
Yeah.
And so if you go at 800,000 at list price and ask for the 13,000, that just means that they're netting versus say 300,000. Now they're going to be netting 287,000. And so you're basically just taking a little bit of their profit and putting it towards your loan.
Yeah. And it's kind of whatever's working for buyers and sellers at the moment. And that's how the market's always been and going to be. It's whoever, there's still going to be people that have to buy and sell. And that's kind of where the market's going to be at.
Yeah. I mean, you're always going to have divorces out there, unfortunately. And
yeah, I definitely have heard there's been a lot of divorces this year.
I would agree.
Probably year of the snake last year, everybody shedding off all that drama. Yeah, now we're in the horse, so let's see things start to gear up, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And, people will have children and need to upsize.
Yeah.
You'll retire and need to downsize.
Or the kids moving out.
Yep. You always will have a need. And so the housing market's going to always continue to move, which is another reason not to be afraid to buy.
Yeah, you can't really time the market. You just have to get in and invest in yourself.
Yeah.
And however you do that it's always the right time for you if you can make it happen.
Yeah. So if you're asking yourself, is now the right time to buy? The answer is yes.
Yes, definitely. What you're going to buy, that's going to depend on what you can afford.
Totally.
Yeah. Might not be in Midtown or, the West Side. Might be also towards Pine or Prineville or, have a more country life living. It's great around here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's kind of all I have. Do you have anything else that we can add to this episode?
All I can say is that when Bend does appreciate, it appreciates faster than most of the nation, I feel like, because Bend is a highly desirable place to live, and it always will be, even though we are getting more crowded. It's just a beautiful slice of heaven. And so when it does appreciate, it appreciates very profitably.
Yeah.
And that's a word.
Yeah. It's great. I think for anybody who wants all seasons, here's a great place. You got the mountains, and if you want to go to the ocean, it's only a 4-hour drive to the coast.
So there you have it, folks. It's an affordable place to buy, and now is the best time to buy.
Yeah, every time that's the right time for you is the best time to buy.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for joining us today, and let us know if you have any questions.